Well, you know what? You should not count your chickens before they hatch. I tried to get my aunt busted because she was cheating, and that's wrong. But then she comes back a year later and drops an absolute bomb on me. Guys, this story is absurd. Let's get into it. My aunt's trying to come back into my life, but I don't want her to. And now I'm feeling bad about it. I've not seen her for a year, because there's a reason for it. And have been ignoring her calls and texts for months. But I feel really bad about ignoring her since I'm the reason behind everything that happened. Let me give you guys the full context. So, I, 35, was living happily with my husband and my son until my aunt decides to contact me a few months ago. I didn't want to even see her face because of what happened a year ago. I'll explain. So I just kept ignoring her, but I'm torn because I now keep wondering if I'm doing the right thing, guys. Let me take you back to a year ago when my aunt was a big part of my life and my family. So, after I got married and settled with my husband, the house we moved into was pretty close to my aunt, Millie. The fact that this house was close to my aunt was one of the main reasons I decided to buy it. The thing is, I was always very close to my aunt, because she had practically raised me. After my dad passed away and my mom had to work a lot, my aunt was the one who was with me. I do love my mom to death, and I'm not saying that she did not take care of me. I'm saying my aunt was just as involved in looking after me. Also, my uncle was not far behind in helping me and has always been there for me when I needed him the most. So it's fair to say that I really love both my uncle and aunt just like I loved my mom. That's why the thing I discovered a year ago hurt me truly. So, a few months back before everything happened, I started noticing my aunt acting very strange to me. I couldn't really understand what was going on and asked her several times if there was something wrong or if something was going down, but I always got the same answer. She told me everything was okay, and I could see that it was nothing more than a lie. But I did not push her because I thought that she had a personal problem she did not want me to be burdened with. A few months went by, and one day I get off work early because I had some work finished outside. I finished my work, and when I was returning, Jeff asked me just to go to the mall to get our son something that we've been planning on getting him. But when I went to the mall, I saw something that I could not believe for a good 5 minutes. I saw my aunt sitting in a coffee place with another guy who seemed a little younger. It looked like they were on a date, and he was constantly grabbing her hands, and they were both talking. But it looked like my aunt was a little uncomfortable. I didn't want to believe exactly what was happening, of course, so I just decided, hey, I should wait, just so I can see what's really going on. Well, they ate a little, and after the guy picked up a call, he and my aunt left, and I followed them closely. My suspicions ended up being true when my aunt entered a hotel with the guy. I knew, just like me, everybody, especially my uncle, would find all of this hard to believe. So I took a few pictures of them on a date and got a video of them going into the hotel. As I was driving home, I kept waiting to wake up from this nightmare, but I was never actually able to. Well, when I got home, my husband said that he would be there in an hour, and when he came, I told him everything and asked him what I should do. He said he's okay with whatever I decide, but it would be wrong for me to withhold this from my uncle, as he deserves to know the hard truth. I wanted to confront my aunt, but Jeff convinced me that it was no use, since I literally had proof of her cheating anyways. Also, I had called my uncle to ask if he knew where my aunt was, and he said that she had gone to meet up with a few of her friends and would be home late. I didn't tell him anything that day, and gathered all of our close family members next day for an emergency gathering. Since it was a weekend, most of our close relatives showed up. And after I apologized to my uncle for what was about to happen, and told everyone the truth about my aunt, well, once again, I myself was hardly able to believe this. So of course, for many, this sounded like some absurd story, and they asked me if I was okay. They thought that it was more believable that I had gone mad, and then my aunt was cheating, which was fair. Everybody was trying to argue with me except for my aunt, who looked like she was frozen in time due to shock. Honestly, I tried to expose my aunt without showing proof because I didn't want to do that to my uncle. He loved my aunt more than my husband loved me, so I knew for sure that he would not be able to process the photos. But since nobody even believed me and my aunt was not saying a word, I was forced to show everybody the evidence that I collected. It's fair to say that I had assumed correctly, because as soon as my uncle saw it, the reality of the situation hit him. He fell to his knees crying, My aunt then reacted for the first time and went to him to try to talk. But as soon as he saw her, he gets mad and asked her to get out of his face. My aunt apologized then and tried to explain what went down, but she did not get a chance to speak. My mom slapped her and asked her how she had the audacity to do this to her hubby. Her other sister, my other aunt, also gets really mad and starts to scream at her. After all the family drama, my aunt had tears in her eyes as everybody decided that they would be cutting her off from the family. My aunt refused to leave until she heard what my uncle wanted to do. A minute later, my uncle spoke up and told her that he never wanted to see her again, and he asked me and his cousin Jake to take all her stuff and throw it out by the end of the day. Before she left, my aunt looked at me and I thought she was going to tell me that she hated me, but she came close and hugged me and asked me to give her 10 minutes of my time to explain. But I was hurt, so hurt that I refused to give her a chance. After that day, she took all of her stuff and moved out of the city, and left our lives for good. A while later, my uncle divorced her, and she even refused to take any money from him. I felt bad since she was the aunt who had taken care of me all those years, and I still feel bad. But it's not like I had made a mistake. I did the right thing, but I always felt like I should have listened to her at least once. I was so mad that she had betrayed us that I never even listened to her. Well, that's pretty bad, not even once. A few months ago, she starts to contact me again, telling me that she wants to share something with me. She tells me that she had moved to another city, and if I gave her half a chance, she would come here to just talk it out with me. She kept telling me that it's really important. The reason behind me writing this post is that next week, I'm traveling to the same city my aunt has moved to for a work event. I'm torn between whether I should give her a chance or not. I don't know what she wants to say, and honestly, I don't think anything she says can redeem her at this point. But I feel like giving her a chance for everything she's done for me. So my question lingering is this: what should I do? Should I meet her and listen to what she has to say, or should I just keep ignoring her? Please, guys, give me a bit of advice. Updates. Number 1. Hey guys, so it's been about a week, and firstly, I want to thank everybody who gave me suggestions and their honest opinion. Well, as you may have guessed, I have already come back from the work visit, and yes, I did make a decision. Let me just tell you what happened. So, as I explained in my last post, I was in a really bad dilemma as I could not decide if I should see her or not. But after thinking a lot, I came to the conclusion that I had at least to hear her out what she wanted to tell me. Well, that's fair. After all, she had done a lot for me, and this felt like the least I could do since I refused to hear her out a year ago. I texted her, saying that I was going to be in her city for a few days, and that if she was free, I would be able to meet her once. She immediately agreed, and we fixed a meeting 3 days later. I told her that this did not mean that I wanted her back in my life, and after the meeting, well, I will continue to live my life without her, and she said that's okay. So after 3 days, I met her and we sat down in a restaurant. She first of all hugged me like she used to, which made me a little sad. She immediately had tears in her eyes when she described how much that she missed me. I told her I would have felt the same if she had not done what she did. She then told me that she regretted the mistakes that she made every day and wished that she could go back. But the mistakes that she was talking about was not the same ones I believed that she made. I got confused and asked her what she was talking about, and she said that I need to be prepared because the truth was going to shock me. I told her nothing she could say would ever shock me, and nothing she said could bring our relationship, my trust, and my love back. She then told me that she believed, something that was the truth. And yes, she was right, because I felt like my soul had been pushed out of my body. She said that everything that happened to her was due to my husband, and he had been behind everything. She said that she had never cheated, it was Jeff who made it look like she did. I said that she was saying something so absurd. And, well, she added that Jeff is a lying, cheating jerk who tried to blackmail her into sleeping with him. And when she kept refusing, pulled all of this out so that nobody would believe her. This really made me angry because out of all the millions of things I was expecting her to say, this was the dumbest lie out of all of them. It still feels crazy to me that she thought I would believe this crap. I said that this was the stupidest lie she could have cooked up, and she said that it was not a lie. She kept telling me that my husband did this to her and that he was a disgusting human being. She said that the only mistake she ever made was getting scared of what he could do and not fighting back when she should have. I couldn't listen to anything more because of all this just being complete BS. So I left her and asked her to never try to get in touch with me. Even when I was leaving, she kept telling me that she was doing this to save me and that I should see for myself. Well, guys, I'm now back home, and I can't stop thinking about this for some reason. Why would my aunt claim such a stupid lie when she could have done anything else? I'm pretty sure that I'm worrying about nothing, but still, I have to ask you guys, what do you think? This will probably just be a desperate attempt to cause problems in my life, isn't it? Update number 2. Hey, I hope you guys are doing well because I am not. I recently learned a few things that have started to shake the steady ground beneath my feet. It's been a little more than 2 weeks since my last update, and the things that I found out still do not feel real. So, after the last update, I spent the entirety of the last week arguing with myself that my aunt was just playing mind games with me. Yeah, there was no reason that my husband was even close to anything she did. For me, my husband was the kindest and nicest and most honest kind of guy I could have ever thought of being with. I mean, he wouldn't hurt a fly. Forget cheating or anything malicious like that. But the things that my aunt said changed how I looked at him. As I found myself doubting him more and more, even though I didn't want to, I loved my husband a lot and he loved me so much that I knew for sure everything she said was untrue. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt like there was a chance that something else had been going on behind the scenes. After thinking and trying to remember anything odd that I might have missed, I noticed that my husband also started acting a little weird about a month after my aunt started acting that way. He told me it was stress-related, which was still believable, but as I thought about the day I caught my aunt, I remembered that the reason I was even in the area of the mall was because I had to file some papers my husband asked me to do. And after that, he was the main reason I went inside the mall. Also, he was the one who convinced me to not confront my aunt, saying it was a waste of time. I also remember he had woken up early and charged my phone that day, which I mostly forgot to do. Coincidence, huh? Well, they just kept adding up. Red flag. But once again, I had no real reason to doubt my husband, as all of these could have genuinely been a coincidence and nothing more. But this was enough to make me doubt him, and yesterday I could not take it anymore. When he was in the shower, I heard his phone beep, so I snooped. I'd never in my entire life snooped through a man's phone or any phone, but I was surprised that the only lock that he had put on was his WhatsApp, which is a messaging app. I got lucky. Guessed the password, second try, our anniversary, what an idiot. And what I saw left me broken in pieces. My husband was happily talking to about 10 women, many of whom had sent very explicit pictures, and he had also sent some back. I noticed that some were asking him to come stay with them again, while others he had not met yet. I left his phone where I found it and have not said anything about it because I literally don't know what to do. I have a child with this person. I've been married to him for years and have imagined my entire life with him. But this is not even the scariest thought I'm getting at. What scares me more is that this means that my aunt might be telling the truth, and that he has done even worse things. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to contact my aunt and see what happens next. I'll let you guys know what happens. Update number 3. It's been a few weeks now, guys, and I've not yet confronted my husband and have been acting like I don't know anything. I'm doing this so that he does not get suspicious and ruin my chances of collecting evidence I need for him. So let me continue where I left off, because this is going to get good. So, after I realized that my husband was a liar, a cheating jerk, I did not really know what to do. I wanted to straight away confront him, but then I remembered that this meant that there's a good chance that my aunt was also a victim in all this. If what she had told me was true, I wanted to give her a chance to prove herself before I kicked him out of my life. After taking a few days to process everything, mostly I cried myself to sleep while he was already asleep. I called my aunt and told her everything of what happened. She said that she was sorry and told me that it was all her fault because she let me stay with Jeff even when she knew what kind of man he was. She said that she was going to come to my city in a few days and asked me to meet with her. Well, we met, and then she explained to me what happened to her, so, according to her, my husband got some pictures of her from her laptop and threatened to release them all over the internet if she did not sleep with him. She kept refusing him, and he kept trying to force her to do what she wanted. After months of refusing him, she had to give up but changed her mind right before she did anything and told him to do what he wanted. She threatened him that if he did not delete those pictures and stop trying to blackmail her, she would tell me everything and destroy the marriage. A few days later, he agreed to a truce and asked her to do one thing in exchange for deleting everything. He asked her to go on a date with his friend, and since she did not have to do anything else, she agreed. That's where I saw her, and he then called and told her that he was in a motel, where she could come and see him to delete the pictures, which he did. She only later realized what he had done to her when I exposed her. I couldn't believe what I heard, but from what I've already seen, it looked like my husband was more than capable of this. So I looked at his phone to see if I could do anything or find anything out, and I found the text that he had sent to my aunt more than a year ago as he backed everything up. He had deleted more text messages, but he had forgotten to delete a few, which proved to be my worst nightmare. Finding this out has completely broken me, as I did not only trust my garbage husband, but also got my innocent aunt kicked out. Both my husband and I are sole people responsible for the amount of pain that she went through. Now, all I can do is make up for it by telling her and everyone the truth. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that soon. I'll keep you guys updated. Final updates. Update number 4. Hey guys, I do apologize for the late updates, but I want to settle everything before I write stuff here. It's been a few months and obviously a lot of things have gone down. Let's pick things up from the get-go. After realizing that my husband was a good-for-nothing person who really did everything my aunt had told me, I decided to show everybody who he really was. I also involved my aunt in this because I knew that she wanted to do this more than anybody, and she was just as mad at him as I was. We spent more than a week collecting proof, and by we, I mean me, as my aunt could not be seen anywhere near our house. While I was looking for absolute proof, my aunt tracked down the guy that she had gone on a date with. We believed that if we could scare him with proof, we would agree to act as a witness to everything my husband did. I already had a screenshot of Jeff speaking with other women and a few messages of him trying to blackmail my aunt. But that would not be enough. So I looked through everything that he had and found nothing. I was getting scared, as without any proof I would not be able to convince everyone. And I could even lose the chance to bring my aunt back to the family. But luckily, I found a hidden compartment in the drawer I had used for years without noticing. In the hidden part, I found a journal and a hard drive thumbnail, which I immediately suspected had some really bad things on it. The journal had entries of him talking about the things that he had done. He had blackmailed several other women into sleeping with him, and I could not read much of it because it was scary to think that this person was the same one I decided to marry. But this was also a good thing because that was all we needed to get him. Although I was in absolute disbelief because the contents of the hard drive were more than shocking, I still gathered all the family members the next day, as I wanted to do this as soon as possible. Well, I then showed everybody the cold, hard truth, which was obviously hard to swallow, but my aunt came in and backed my story up. My husband could not believe what was happening, and it was him this time who looked like he had frozen up. I showed everybody more than enough proof, and as I brought up his journal, he screamed at me to stop it. I told him that he had not only lied and betrayed me, but had blackmailed several women and had destroyed my aunt's life. I told him that he deserved worse than this, at which points the cops knocked on the door. I gave them the journal, the hard drive, all the evidence which had the incidents of, well, everything, pictures, several women, and many other things that I don't even want to talk about. We also brought his friend who had already admitted to everything, serving as more than enough proof, so Jeff got kicked out of the family and got arrested at the same time in a matter of minutes. Well, a week later, I filed for divorce while his court process was still going on. He got jail time and is still serving it, and my son and I finally got completely rid of him yesterday as the divorce became finalized. As I'm writing this, I'm happy that I managed to fix everything. But that does not change the fact that I married a monster and got my aunt kicked out, all of which I immensely regret.